Hey! So, I did a video tag recently that was about non-book things. And I talked a lot. I went through some movies and records that I had, just sort of picked a random stack and went through and looked at them. And I filmed another video where I did that with records, but I was having trouble with editing it, getting the music to work, and I got too frustrated and gave up. That's okay. So, I'm going to try again, but I'm going to do movies this time. I've got so many movies, and I think that I have a pretty interesting collection of movies. I do have a lot of, the classics, but I think I also happen to have a lot of weirder and more obscure things, particularly in my VHS collection, because my VHS collection primarily focuses on things that are either very hard to find outside of the VHS or have never migrated off of VHS. They're stuck on tape. So, I don't know how long I'm going to do this for. I'm just going to start grabbing. I've got piles of movies stacked on the desk beside my computer, so I'm just going to start going through stuff. This is at the top because I've pulled it out and shown it off on a video before. But at the top we've got Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College. Oh god, was this... Yep, John Carl Buechler directed this, famous effects artist who worked on many horror films, Friday the 13th movies, and etc. So the Ghoulies series was, one of the many series that popped up in the wake of the success of Gremlins, where people were trying to make, rip-offs of little puppet monster movies. And the first, two Ghoulies are fine, but I personally think the best one is Ghoulies 3, which is a shitty frat comedy, but also a rubber puppet monster movie, and it's very weird, very stupid, and this movie has made it off of VHS, but only in a 10 movie pack, that you would find at Dollar Tree. That's the only DVD that this exists on, and it has never been released on Blue. So, Ghoulies 3. Ghoulies Go to College. Next, we got the VHS of Rolling Vengeance. Always use the right tool for the job. It's a monster truck with a drill penis on it. This is a movie from 1987 that is a revenge movie where I think that the back says it better than I could. What do you do when your family's been senselessly killed by a clan of drunken goons who get off scot-free? If you're a young trucker named Joey, you take matters into your own hands. You build the ultimate monster truck, and then you even the score. So this is like a redneck revenge movie where this guy builds a giant monster truck and then kills all the rednecks who killed his family in a drunk driving accident. Never made it off of VHS. Next, we've got Enforcer from Death Row. This, as you can see, is rated R. This is from Genesis Home. Genesis Home Video Inc. Genesis is a label, a tape label from the 80s. When you start collecting tapes, you start to learn about these VHS distribution companies. They all kind of have their own flavor and vibe to them. Genesis is a good one. The graphic design on the back, very bad. This is just a martial arts movie, low budget martial arts movie It's got a couple of names who would be familiar to people who are fans of low-budget movies of this fair. Cameron Mitchell, of course, perhaps most legendary for the adoration he receives from the Red Letter Media guys. And movie also has Leo Fong in it, another Red Letter Media favorite. He is the star of films such as Low Blow. It's probably his most famous movie because of them watching it on Best of the Worst. So both of those guys are in here. Next, China O'Brien 2, starring Cynthia Rothrock. Cynthia Rothrock is just like one of the coolest fucking people ever. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say big. I'm a fan of martial arts movies. And Cynthia Rothrock is one of those people who, like, you know, never really broke out in America the way that she should have. She's awesome. I can't really remember this movie specifically. I'm pretty sure I did watch it at one point. In 2019, I tried to watch all of the movies I owned and hadn't watched. And over the course of the year, I watched like 600 movies. And I don't remember a lot of them very well because I just watched so many. And, yeah. Next, we got another Kung Fu movie. The original Five Fingers of Death. All-time Kung Fu cult classic. I don't remember anything about this. Lo Lie stars. Don't know who that is. This is like one of those super low-budget 90s re-releases. You can see the care put into the design. Not an EP tape, which is surprising, but I'm sure the transfer just looks like absolute horse shit. But it was at least good enough for me to not get rid of it, so I guess you can count that as a recommendation. Next, we've got a DVD. It is Women in Heat Behind Bars. This is part of the Nikatsu Erotic Films collection by Impulse Pictures. Impulse Pictures is a sub-label of Severin, if I remember correctly. When I worked at Barnes & Noble, at Half Price Books, there was a person who would get a lot of interesting grindhousey stuff that they would get for free for reviewing, and then they would sell it to the store, and I would buy all of it. So this is from a collection that Impulse Pictures did of various, pink films, as they're called, in Japan, from Nikatsu, which is one of the big Japanese studios, film studios. Pink films are, sort of like you could think of as being like a sort of softcore porn, but they are, in the mainstream. They play in theaters, and they, are just exploitation films, And so this is just a pretty run-of-the-mill. You can guess based on the title. This is just a women in prison film. I don't remember anything about it being particularly exemplary, but there you go. Next, another one from the same Nikatsu Erotic Films collection. This is Nun Story, Frustration in Black. This is a nunsploitation, which is a genre, yes. Pretty, much what you would expect. The nuns live their lives of poverty, chastity, and obedience. But then, this one's a little different. So it turns out the nuns are being tortured, and when they try to flee, they suffer a worse fate. After a brutal assault, this nun, Maria, finds she is pregnant. She must then figure out how to escape her own living hell. So this is a little different than the usual nunsploitation. Usually nunsploitation movies are like the nuns are horny and locked up together, and then they end up having, you know, gay sex with each other. Yeah. Back to VHS. The whole rest of this stack is VHS, so this is going to be some weird shit. Next we've got In Your Face. He asked for equality. He witnessed injustice. He knew wisdom. He got revenge. This is one of those things where the cover has nothing to do with the movie itself. Neither of these people are in this movie. But this release is from a company, a VHS distributor called Xenon Home Video, who were a company in the 90s that specialized in blaxploitation and Afrocentric films. This is actually a film from the 70s, if I remember correctly, that has a different name that it's generally known by. I don't remember what the name was, but it is... oh yeah, I remember now. It's called like A-Bar, the First Black Superman or something like that. Let me Google it, because it's a pretty fucking great name. Yep, how did I remember that? A-Bar, the First Black Superman, 1977 blaxploitation film, where, I mean, you know, the blaxploitation films are all, you know, have pretty similar plots. Most of them. This one, he witnesses the injustices of racial violence in America, and then he takes on the powers and becomes A-Bar, the First Black Superman. Yeah, what else do you need? Great movie. Next, this movie is no joke, no exaggeration, not hyperbole. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I have a Letterboxd account, and I do have a Letterboxd list where I have my 20 favorite movies. I usually just keep it to 20, because once you get past 20, I feel like it's like what's the difference between like 23 and 31? Like, yeah. But this movie is in my top 20. This is Alien Warrior. This is a movie that has never left VHS. However, there is a rip of the VHS on YouTube. You can watch this on YouTube for free. This came out in 1986, put out by Vestron, which is a very popular tape label from the 80s. Direct-to-video movie. Outside of America, it's known as The King of the Streets, because Alien Warrior, very misleading title. It is a story about a man, an alien, a very handsome alien, who his brother has been killed on a sort of mission, and so it has now fallen to him to become the leader of his people, but in order to do so, he must prove his worth by defeating a great evil. And so he comes to Earth to defeat a great evil, and that evil takes the form of a pimp who sex traffics women and sells cocaine and blackmails politicians and all sorts of things. This movie is just absolutely fucking bonkers. There's some of the most wildly strange martial arts ever in film in this movie, I think. Has some of the craziest dialogue and weirdest choices, just absolutely riveting choices being made by the filmmakers here and by the actors in their deliveries and their performances. One of my favorite sort of mini arcs of the film is that he falls in love with this girl who runs a literacy center in the inner city on Skid Row in Los Angeles. And there's this part where he meets her because she's being chased by these Hispanic gang members who are trying to rape her, and the alien, his name is Buddy, by the way. Buddy saves her, And then later, these same gang members attempt to break into the literacy center, and there's this scene where Buddy captures one of these Hispanic gang members and sits him down and starts interrogating him, and it is this just psychotic psychological game of warfare where he starts questioning why this man has wound up where he is in his life. It's like the scene in The Master where that's because The Master is sort of inspired by Scientology, and so there's that scene in The Master that's like Philip Seymour Hoffman is like sort of interviewing Joaquin Phoenix's character, and it's very intense, and he keeps on asking him all these questions, pressing harder and making him sort of dig up these like childhood memories until he breaks down and he starts to cry. And that's like exactly what happens in this fucking movie. It's so weird. And then he starts teaching all of the gang members how to read, and then they start covering up all of the graffiti around town with positive messages. So positive graffiti. I can't do this movie justice with words. It is just so weird and so good. And it's on YouTube. Watch it. Next. Blood Fist. There were a lot of movies like this, and a lot of, in the 80s there were, a couple people who were martial arts guys who became very, very popular. Jean-Claude Van Damme, probably the biggest one. And in the wake of that, they were like, okay, well, who else is like a legitimate martial artist who we can give, a vehicle and make him into a star? And, most of the people that they tried to do that with, it did not work out. However, my favorite person that they did that with is a man by the name of Don the Dragon Wilson, who is it says here, the World Kickboxing Association Light Heavyweight World Champion. And Blood Fist was a series, Roger Corman produced series of direct-to-video martial arts movies. There are 8 of them, all of which star Don Wilson. I believe the first 2, he is playing the same character, but then in all of the subsequent ones, they are completely unrelated. He does not play the same character, but he is in all of them, and they are all called Blood Fist. My favorite one is Blood Fist 6, which is sort of a Die Hard ripoff, where he is the only, good guy in this nuclear warhead bunker that has been taken over by terrorists, and he has to one-man army his way into saving the world. Yeah, I love Don Wilson. He's fucking great. He's just so charming, and just he feels like effortless. It just I don't get why he didn't blow up. He's so personable, and he's a good fighter. He does good work. So yeah. Next, this movie has an amazing cover. A big, thing that I love about collecting VHS is the way that we used to make illustrated covers for movies. So this is called Tough Ninja the Shadow Warrior. I'm just going to let you drink all of that in. Got this guy here with the machine gun, no shirt on. Got a couple ninja. So this is a movie, it doesn't say, it says it's directed by Larry Hutton. I can tell you that is not true. This is a movie directed by a man of much legend in this sort of, world of cinema that I, love so much. A man named Godfrey Ho, who was very famous for buying up footage from failed projects, movies that were never completed, and then filming, the minimal amount required of new footage, and then stitching, Frankensteining all of these various pieces into a film. So usually he's going to make, his movies are going to be coming from, 3 unrelated movies that are then stitched into one final product. The end result is something that is absolutely bananas, makes no sense whatsoever, and he often reuses footage in multiple movies. His directing credits on IMDb, he directed something like 200 movies in like 10 years, and then retired in the 90s. His most famous movie is a movie called Robo-Vampires, which is the combination of RoboCop and vampires. And you might say to yourself, wow, that sounds awesome. And you would be correct. Next, a classic. It's Jack Frost with the lenticular cover. This is an iconic movie of video stores in the 90s. I remember this, sitting on the shelf so clearly. He's chilling and killing. This is a horror comedy about a serial killer whose body gets melted and fuses with snow, and then he becomes a murderous snowman who stalks this town. It's a slasher movie. Very stupid, but very self-aware. And, that's not always the best combo, but I think they pull it off here pretty well. There's a sequel to this movie that is not good, in my opinion. I do own it, though, somewhere. This did languish on VHS for many years until the fine people at Vinegar Syndrome put a Blu-ray out of it a couple years ago. Yeah, and I think it's on Shudder, actually. Streaming. Next, oh, what a great movie. Class of 1999 2, The Substitute. In the future, teachers are cyborgs. Pray you only get detention. So, Class of 1984 is one of my absolute favorite movies of the 80s. It's a movie about a well-meaning music teacher who comes to a very troubled inner-city school and finds himself at odds with the man who is in charge of the gang, the biggest gang in the school. And it becomes this sort of revenge movie, I guess you could call it. And then, a number of years later, they made a sequel called The Class of 1999, which had nothing to do with it other than the fact that it was set in a school. And in Class of 1999, it's about the teachers are all cyborgs, but then they, go haywire and they start murdering the students. So this, Class of 1999 2, is a sequel to that. There's just one teacher who is a killer cyborg in this one, but he gives the performance of a lifetime, let me tell you. What's this guy's name? Sasha Mitchell. Man. Incredible. I don't know if this movie ever made it off VHS. It's a Vidmark movie. Vidmark put this out, which was a sub-label of Trimark Entertainment, which was a somewhat reputable film production company in the 90s that has since gone out of business. And Vidmark was a label that they did for generally genre movies that were straight to VHS. So, yeah. Oh, another fucking amazing movie here. The Instructor. Starring Bob Sal, coach of the U.S. AAU karate team. This is a movie that I bought on a blind buy in a fire sale in a Facebook VHS group for more money than I should have spent on it. I think I spent $20 or $25 on this tape. And all I knew about it was that it was Vestron had put it out, and I looked it up on Letterboxd, and it had a couple of reviews that were like very favorable. People were like, people don't know about this movie, but it fucking rules. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna roll the dice. I did, and it paid off. This movie fucking rips. And then, a couple of years later, it got featured on Best of the Worst on Red Letter Media. And I think has, probably had a bit of a resurgence. Probably the price has gone up because of that. But this was a movie that was made by, like I said, Bob Sal, coach of the U.S. AAU karate team. It was actually made by his friend, is his name on here? Don Bendel. So it was directed, written, produced, and directed by Don Bendel, who was also a karate instructor, and then he cast his friend, Bob Sal, in the lead, and it is a pretty standard, the instructor runs a karate school. When he is threatened by a rival school's owner, he puts his teachings into action through spectacular car chases and gripping hand-to-hand battles. Might be a little hyperbolic. They filmed this movie. It was like a amateur production. They filmed it in, I believe, Columbus, Ohio, somewhere in Ohio. They were all non-professionals, and it shows. It definitely shows. And then when they submitted it to Vestron was like, okay, this is, we're going to put it out, but we need you to put a fight in at the beginning of the movie because it takes too long for stuff to happen. And so they filmed afterwards this fight scene that sort of opens the movie that is just one of the most hallucinatory, weird, amazing fight scenes I've ever seen in a movie. It's like this, Southern Ohio dollar store version of the Warriors. It's just a sight to behold. Yeah, find this if you can. Watch the Red Letter Media episode with it. They show good clips and stuff. Next, I was at a tape swap and someone had this, and they were like, "Yeah, someone I bought tapes from threw this in as a freebie when I bought tapes, and I don't want it anymore, so you can have it for free." This is Last Line of Defense Secret Service Agent 2008. This is a plain white case with a inkjet printed sticker and then inkjet printed label. This is a shot on video homemade kung fu action movie. I don't really remember that much about it, but it's weird, and how many of these exist in the world? 5, probably. I've got one of them. Another very good movie. American Commandos. Another great cover, too. Yeah. There we go. Look at that fucking guy with that gun. Awesome. This is, what you'd expect. 84 direct-to-video Rambo ripoff. But it is just a little bit weirder, a little bit more over the top, and a little bit better made than most of the Rambo ripoffs of the time. Elevates it up into the upper echelon. Pretty sure this never made it off of VHS. Which is a shame, because this movie fucking rips. Absolutely fucking rules. Oh, I didn't notice this was in the thing. I mentioned this a bit ago. Blood Fist 6, Ground Zero. This is the one I said was, a Die Hard ripoff. I don't think I need to say anything else about this that I didn't say already. Jack Frost 2, I also talked about. That one, not very good. This movie has one of my favorite covers of all time. That's My Uncle the Alien, the President's Daughter, Her Secret Friend, and Their Out-of-This-World Adventure. This was released by PM Entertainment. PM Entertainment was a production and distribution company in the late 80s through the 90s that specialized in making low-budget action movies direct-to-video. They made just nothing but fucking bangers. Knocked it out of the park over and over again. stuff like Hologram Man, Repo Jake, many others. But then in the later 90s, they started branching out. They started making kids movies. This is one of them. I have like a personal affinity for PM. I collect PM movies. I'm trying to get all of them. There's like 70. I've got like 30. This movie's not very good. Not super funny or entertaining, but the cover, so good. And it is a PM movie, so I have it because I collect PM movies. Next, Return of the Street Fighter. Sonny Chiba just passed away a couple of days ago. Very sad to see him go. He was pretty old, but he did unfortunately succumb to COVID. I believe he's 81 years old. But he is one of the biggest martial arts stars of Japan. Martial arts films, are largely Hong Kong and China affairs. But Sonny Chiba he was from Japan, and the Street Fighter series is his most famous work. This is the second Street Fighter movie. There are 3 with Sonny Chiba, and then there's a 4th one called Sister Street Fighter that he is in, but he is not the star of. The first Street Fighter, amazing. I think the people might remember from True Romance, Christian Slater goes to see a Street Fighter marathon at the beginning of that movie at the theater. That movie, of course, is written by Quentin Tarantino, who would go on to cast Sonny Chiba in Kill Bill as Hattori Hanzo, the sword maker, who is featured in the first part of Kill Bill. Street Fighter, the first Street Fighter, features a great scene where Sonny Chiba rips a man's dick off with his bare hands. Death Magic. This is a 1992 shot-on-video horror movie about a prospector ghost who comes back from the dead. It was, so in VHS collecting land, shot-on-video movies, self-released movies are often very desirable and sought after and expensive. However, a couple years ago, a man in the VHS collecting world came into possession of an entire box of copies, sealed copies of Death Magic. He had like 50 copies or something, and he sold them all for $10 a pop. He refused to take more than that. He said, he wasn't trying to get rich. He just wanted people to be able to have this in their collection. God bless him. I bought one, and I've got it. Stack is getting a little precarious off screen here. Here's Blood of the Dragon. I don't really think I need to say much about this. It's Jimmy Wang Yu directed this. He's a fairly well-known martial arts guy, Shaw Brothers guy, 1973. Yeah. Here's a personal favorite of mine. Feeders. This is another movie that has been featured on Best of the Worst. This was a effort by the Polonia brothers, who are the identical twins, Mark and John Polonia, who are shot-on-video legends. They filmed many movies on camcorders, starting in the late 80s. Of course, their first film was called Splatter Farm, which is like a very, very famous shot-on-video movie, highly desirable tape. Every time that tape comes up on eBay, it ends up selling for over $500. Feeders was a movie that had some actual legs to it. Popularity-wise, it was distributed and rented out at Blockbusters. And I believe I read somewhere that it was like the most popular independent movie of the year in 1996 at Blockbuster. I'm sure people were buying it or renting it because they had no idea what they were getting into. Of course, this is filmed with camcorders, very poorly crafted alien puppets, very charming movie, very bad movie. It's like 62 minutes long. Very weird. Love the Polonia Brothers, though. Alien Arsenal. What they discover could destroy the world. This is a Full Moon movie, the company that Charles Band, Charles Band created in the 80s. Charles Band, of course, legendary director and producer of B movies, and he Full Moon responsible for like the Puppet Master series and amongst other things. But this is one of their more kid-oriented movies. I think it's like a PG-13 movie. They did eventually, Full Moon created a sub-label. Oh, am I going to be able to remember what it was called? I can't remember. But they did have like a kid-friendly sub-label that they made in the 90s. But this is just teenagers discover a vault full of alien weapons in the basement of their high school and use it to transform from super geeks into superheroes. However, the aliens return to reclaim their deadly cache and destroy the planet, and then chaos ensues, of course. Nobody notable in this movie. Yeah. I remember enjoying it. Tiger Claws 3, The Final Conflict, another Cynthia Rothrock flick. Yeah, not much to say here. Just a, pretty run-of-the-mill Hong Kong movie with Cynthia Rothrock in it. Here's one with a good cover and a good name. It's Nasty Hero. Every Dog Has His Day. This is like a shitty, sort of like Mad Max style movie. Car movie, and the guy makes a robot fist that he punches people with. So, yeah. I'm trying to go a little faster because I'm realizing that this is a lot longer than I was originally thinking it was going to be, and I thought I was going to get through more movies than I am. So let's try and speed it up a little bit. All right. Here's Blue Ice. So, half-price books will not sell porn. When someone brings us porn, we throw it away or take it home for ourselves. However, I found this on the shelf at half price. At a half price I didn't work at, priced at $5.99, and I knew what it was immediately because I saw the little vinegar syndrome symbol here on the spine. And when I looked at the back, there's no nudity on it. It doesn't say that it's porn. But when you start reading the back and you see the cast includes people such as Jamie Gillis and Ron Jeremy, it's not too hard to figure it out. However, people at that half price did not, because they're not sex perverts like me, who sees, oh, Jamie Gillis is in this, and knows who that is. This is a very fucking weird porn movie. It's from 1985. Let me just read the back to you here. San Francisco private eye Ted Singer has just been hired by a wealthy eccentric to find and procure an ancient and mysterious book, which reportedly has the power to grant anyone who can open it the gift of eternal life and power. Unbeknownst to Ted, another group of individuals are also searching for the priceless artifact, a secret group of escaped Nazis who are hoping to use the book to take over the world. It doesn't sound like a porn, but it is. Blue Ice. Oh, I just got a bunch of fucking porn now. This is not good for my rep. This is another one from Impulse Pictures. This is A Touch of Sex. This is just Synapse Films. I'm sorry. I think I said that I thought that this was Severin, but it's Synapse Films owns Impulse Pictures. This is like it's not like porn, but it's like a, like a sexploitation movie from the 70s. Hired to help launch a hot new rock group called Tommy and the Penetrations, Mark finds himself dropped into the opulent, drug-filled, and orgiastic lifestyle Hollywood. Mark is suddenly haunted by visions of a horny group of people everywhere he goes. Are they some sort of mind-bending fantasy or a reality? The back calls this a music-filled 70s erotic oddity. Yep. More Impulse. Helena, a film about a woman's ultimate passion. So this is like a sexploitation biker sexploitation movie, also from 1975. Yeah. Not much needs to be said about most of these movies. Candy Lips. It's from 76. Strangely post-production dubbed and bafflingly edited together, featuring non-stop nudity and sex. This is the back of the box proclaiming this. Presented from a worn original 35mm print to help you relive the golden days of 42nd Street sleaze. Of course, 42nd Street in Manhattan famously featured many movie theaters that would play grindhouse movies of this ilk. Another one of the Nikatsu collection, Female Prisoner 101 Suck. This is a parody of the film Female Prisoner 701 Scorpion, which is a pink film, a women in prison revenge film, Japanese film, but that's a very good movie, very well made movie. And this is just, this is just garbage. Lesbian sex, prison, women in prison movie. And one more of the Nikatsu films, White Rose Campus. This one is a little different. Field trip. School bus of young girls is hijacked by rifle-wielding, cross-dressing thugs. These sex-crazed maniacs have no agenda but to fulfill their own sexual desires. Soon, the ugly girls are thrown off the bus, and those that remain are subjected to unspeakable assaults and terror. Yeah, just a total irredeemable piece of garbage that I own. Let's move on. Here's a fun one. Extreme Underground Cinema, Cunt Fuck Boulevard 2, Eruption of the Vulva Volcano. So this is a release from Toxic Films, Toxic Filth Video. And Toxic Filth is a current day label that puts out DVDRs and VHSs of various extreme horror and weird things. This is a mixtape that was created by the people who run the label. This is the second out of 3 Cunt Fuck Boulevard tapes that they made. It's got all sorts of weird and awful and disgusting things on it that you would expect to see in a video mixtape like this. There's like sex reassignment surgery in it, if I remember right, and like weird, just weird shit, and gore. This tape is worth a stupid amount of money now because they only made, I believe, they made 25 of them. It's numbered. I have 24 out of 25. And Toxic Filth has a pretty, significant community. I've had people offer me over $100 for this tape, and I have not gotten rid of it. Maybe I should. Red Sun Rising. This is another Don the Dragon Wilson vehicle. This is a movie that little needs to be said about. Detectives Los Angeles, gang war. You know, it's all the same. Hey, it's a movie you've probably heard of. Look at that. It's the media release of Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, Dream Warriors is the best one. But, you know, I found this for cheap. It's a Video Treasures media release, which is unfortunate. Video Treasures was a budget label. They would do like they would do budget versions of releases for other labels, which means it's an EP tape, which means that there's less tape and it's played faster, which means the quality of the video is lower. Here's a fun one. Skinner. This is a slasher movie starring Tracy Lords, famed porn star of the 80s who lied about her age and almost single-handedly destroyed the entire world of porn because she did a lot of porn when she was underage, and all of it had to be recalled and destroyed. She was in Playboy, you know, just tons of stuff. Just absolutely crazy that happened. Changed porn forever. But after porn, she became an actress in B movies. So she's in this. Ricky Lake is in this, and the star of it is Ted Raimi, the brother of Sam Raimi, director of the Evil Dead films and the Spider-Man films, amongst other things. So yeah, his brother, the lead actor in this movie. It's just a pretty run-of-the-mill slasher, but fun cast. So. Here's one with a fucking weird cover. Woo. Shaolin Fox Conspiracy from Fighting Fury Video. This, if I remember right, is I watched a movie and then I watched a different tape, and they had different names, but they were the same movie, but they had different dubs and like slightly different edits, but it was the same movie. And it's something about like the Jade Badger, the purple Jade Badger. Yeah, it's a weird kung fu movie. Here's a cool one. This is a video documentary of Scribble Jam 99, I believe. Am I remembering correctly? Scribble Jam, does it say? 99. Scribble Jam 99. So Scribble Jam was a sort of like festival that centered around hip-hop culture that was held in Ohio in the 90s and 2000s. And there would be competitions for graffiti, b-boy dancing, and freestyle rapping. And a number of people who would go on to, bigger careers were first found and noticed at a national level because of their participation in Scribble Jam. And I bought this tape because it features the freestyle battle that was won by Idea, who is a rapper from St. Paul, who would put out 3 very beloved albums with DJ abilities under the name Idea and Abilities. He also released a solo album under the name Oliver Hart called The Many Faces of Oliver Hart. And he was in a couple of bands, and then he died of a opioid overdose in 2010 when he was like 28, I want to say. A very devastating moment in Minneapolis, St. Paul music history. But the first thing he ever did that got him known was winning the Scribble Jam freestyle competition in 1999. I think he was like 18 years old. And yeah. Here's a fun one. Della Morte Della More on Blu-ray. This is a weird thing that came in at work. This is a German Blu-ray. It's a Region B Blu-ray. I do own a region-free Blu-ray player, so I can play this. But this is not a German movie. It's a movie that's known in America as Cemetery Man, which is a beloved horror comedy of the '90s. Think early Peter Jackson for tone. But this is just a weird, cool, limited German edition Blu-ray, limited to 150 copies. Just randomly. No clue why this came into my Minnesota half-price books, but it did, and I bought it. Next, we've got the metal tin limited edition copy of Lucio Fulci's The Beyond. 20,000 copies made. This is copy 1,721. These tins were put up by Anchor Bay in the 2000s. They did them for a number of different movies. I know that there's like a Hellraiser one and a couple others. Very impractical. You can see kind of mine is dented in. It's just too bad. But it's got a bunch of fun shit with it. First of all, the actual movie is in a plain jewel case. Whatever. But then there's this, all these like postcards and posters and booklets and fun shit, which is cool. The Beyond is probably Fulci's second most famous movie behind Zombie. But The Beyond is also a zombie movie. Fulci, one of the most important Italian horror directors of the 70s. And this is a classic. Some really amazing gore in this movie, if you're into that kind of thing. Let's change things up just a little bit. Yeah, let's do it like this. Ugh. First Blood. This is the first Rambo movie. Yeah. Here's a great one that a lot of people don't know about. Punisher Warzone. So Punisher was made in 2004, I want to say, with Thomas Jane. And it wasn't very good. And then, of course, there's the Punisher Netflix series, which was very successful. However, a lot of people don't know about this 2008 film, Punisher Warzone, which was largely based on and inspired by Garth Ennis's run on Punisher Max. Garth Ennis, of course, the writer of The Boys and Preacher. And this is a hyper-violent, very dark, and intense take on the Punisher. Very, very well made. Female director, which is a interesting, sort of gives an interesting lens to the source material. And it's just super good. And it's got Newman from Seinfeld in it. Leon, also known in America as The Professional. This is a film by Luc Besson, who is a French filmmaker who is great. He has made many big budget famous movies like The Fifth Element. This movie is most notable for being Natalie Portman's first movie. She was like 12 years old, and it's about a reclusive hitman who takes in an orphaned little girl and teaches her the art of killing. Of course, Gary Oldman plays the villain. You may know the part that became a meme where he says to get everyone, and then the cop says everyone, and then he goes, everyone! Very good movie. Hard Boiled. So this is a John Woo movie. This was the movie that broke John Woo into North America. This was also the first movie that gave international attention to both Chow Yun-fat and Tony Leung, who are, two of the most famous and important actors in Hong Kong cinema. This is, a lot of people think that this is the greatest action movie ever made. Could be. I don't know. I don't really care that much to decide, but it is definitely one of them. It is absolutely just, amazing, exemplary of John Woo's style and talent. I was lucky enough to get to see this on 35mm at the Trilon a couple years ago, which was a very fun experience. Also in the world of John Woo, we've got Face Off. This is John Travolta and Nick Cage, and then they take their faces off and have them swapped, and chaos ensues. John Woo, this was, I believe, John Woo's first American movie, but it's got all the hallmarks of a John Woo movie, alongside, two of the most absolutely fucking bananas actors in the two leads, and they really sell it and bring it home. What a crazy fucking movie. Great movie. Escape from New York. I have a huge boner for John Carpenter. I love John Carpenter. Johnny Carps, as I call him. I wouldn't say that people, sleep on John Carpenter. Halloween, especially, is very beloved. But John Carpenter is, for my money, one of the best filmmakers ever. And Escape from New York is an amazing movie. Post-apocalyptic movie where Manhattan is walled off and it's just criminals live there and it's lawless. And the president's plane crashes on Manhattan and he gets kidnapped by terrorists, criminals, whatever. And then they get this guy, Snake Plissken, Kurt Russell with an eye patch, to infiltrate Manhattan and rescue the president. Snake Plissken, of course, then would go on to be, his name would be stolen by Metal Gear Solid, given to Snake, Solid Snake. Ugh. Death Wish 3 with Charles Bronson. So there are 5 Death Wish movies. The first one was kind of a serious movie, and a good movie. The second one kind of didn't know what it wanted to be, and then the third one, it was just like, fuck it, this movie's stupid, and it's amazing. This is my favorite of them. One of my all-time favorite action movies. Paul Kersey, Charles Bronson, his story is that at this point everyone that he loves is dead, but he takes it upon himself to clean up the streets, vigilante style, with a big fucking gun like you see here on the cover, and he's just an old man with a machine gun killing a bunch of punk rockers in the Bronx, and it is very dumb, but very good. Here we got Cops versus Thugs. I think I have this reversed so it has the original Japanese cover, because this is released by Arrow Films, the fine Arrow Films, which is a British-based Blu-ray label that specializes in horror, B-movies, exploitation cinema, and they do also a lot of Japanese like B-movies and stuff too. And so this is Kenji Fukusaku's film. Kenji Fukusaku, legendary Japanese director. In the 70s, he made a name for himself with the Battles Without Honor and Humanity series of Yakuza films. He is perhaps best known for what would be his final film, Battle Royale. He did direct Battle Royale 2, but he died during production, and it was finished by his son. So his final completed film was Battle Royale. This is another Yakuza film, but it's unrelated to the Battles Without Honor and Humanity series. And it's most Yakuza films are all kind of the same, so I don't really have much to say about it, other than that it's good. Above the Law, Stevie Seagal. So Steven Seagal is a terrible, terrible, terrible person. Just a despicable, awful, horrible human being who I despise on a personal level. But I love his movies so much. It's a tough, it's a rock and a hard place. I will say that I have purchased all of his movies used. I have not personally, financially supported Steven Seagal in any way, shape, or form. This is his debut, Above the Law. It's one of the better ones. His style of fighting is very interesting. He's an Aikido master. So the Aikido style is very quick and blunt and to the point and brutal. And I like that style. And I also like Steven Seagal's, the way he acts. He's just a fucking crazy person. Just weird, nonsensical, but enigmatic and captivating at the same time. Yeah. Got a couple video games. You want to see the video games? Okay. They're all Wii games. We got Mad World, we got Little King's Story, and we got Skyward Sword. Ugh. This is the Blu-ray Criterion Collection edition of John Waters' Female Trouble, starring Divine. Female Trouble was one of the earlier John Waters movies. I believe this was the follow-up to Pink Flamingos. I'm trying to remember which one. I don't want to confuse them in my mind. I don't really remember which one this is. I'm thinking of the one where they go and run away to the community in the forest of all the freak people. I can't remember the name of that, and it's also not Female Trouble. Anyway, it's been a long time. My brain has turned to mush. I love John Waters very, very much. Very, 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 very much. It's very sad for me personally that he hasn't made a movie in such a long time, and it's very frustrating because he hasn't made a movie because no one wants to give him money. He hasn't made a movie since A Dirty Shame with Johnny Knoxville and what's her name? That was in 2004. Was the last John Waters movie. It's been almost 20 years with no John Waters movies, and that just doesn't sit right with me. Oh, I mentioned this movie a little bit ago. It's Female Prisoner 701 Scorpion. This is one of the best women in prison movies ever made. It's one of the best Japanese exploitation movies ever made. Just absolutely amazing, beautifully shot, I should say. It's not like pretty. It's not fun. It's not a fun, enjoyable movie. But it is very, very good. Starring Meiko Kaji, legendary Japanese actress. She's very emphatic eyes that she's notorious for. She's also known as the star of the Lady Snowblood series of samurai films, which were one of the major influences and inspirations for Kill Bill. John Carpenter's The Fog. This is a fantastic movie about ghost pirates. Yes, the South Park Ghost Pirates was a reference to this movie. This was the Carpenter's follow-up to Halloween. Also stars Jamie Lee Curtis. It's got Adrienne Barbeau, Hal Holbrook, and Janet Leigh from Psycho. It's just a great movie. if you're a horror fan, you owe it to yourself to see everything that John Carpenter has done, I think. Altered States by Ken Russell. This might be Ken Russell's most famous movie. This is a movie about a guy who is played by William Hurt, who is a scientist who starts experimenting with hallucinogens and sensory deprivation chambers, and basically like unlocks magical otherworldly powers. Very psychedelic, weird, cerebral movie. Ken Russell, very fantastic filmmaker. He made The Devils, a very controversial movie that has never, I don't think to this day, been released uncut in America. You can get it, it's out there, but it's a Warner Brothers movie, and they're content to sit on it. And he also made Crimes of Passion, which was a very cool movie with Anthony Perkins in the 80s. Very weird movie where Anthony Perkins is like a psychotic stalker who chases down a sex worker with a razor dildo and tries to murder her. Great movie. Let's get a little pretentious here. We got Jean-Pierre Melville's Les Samurai from the Criterion Collection. This is a movie from French New Wave, 1967, about a, sort of taking a lot of inspiration from both samurai movies of the 50s and 60s, as well as American gangster movies of like the 40s and 50s. I love French New Wave, and this is, one of the best. Speaking of samurai movies, Akira Kurosawa's Throne of Blood. This is not one of Kurosawa's more famous works. This is from -- so this is from this is after Rashomon, which was his big breakthrough, of course, but before Seven Samurai. And this is a reimagining of Macbeth, but set in feudal Japan, and starring, of course, Toshiro Mifune, the frequent collaborator of Kurosawa's. Great movie, great adaptation of Macbeth. We're getting towards the end here. This video is very long. If you've watched it all, bless you. This one's still got a price tag on it from when I bought it in Madison, Wisconsin. It's Evil Dead Trap. This is from Synapse Films. This is a sort of cult classic, more obscure Japanese horror movie. It's got a quote on the cover from Oliver Stone, who it says here is the director of Any Given Sunday. Of course, the most famous Oliver Stone movie. He calls it a daring and grim thriller, which reveals Japan's twisted sexual soul, one terrifying scene after another. Of course, the name of this movie is meant to try and trick you into getting it instead of Evil Dead, but it is its own thing that has nothing to do with Evil Dead, really, other than clearly, owing an influence to Sam Raimi. It's also clearly inspired by Cronenberg, your Argentos, and it's just it's like an early J-horror, 88, but very influential on J-horror that followed. Very good movie. If you can find it, pick it up. Next, I'm going to do both of these at the same time. We've got Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. I have the director's cut copy of Army of Darkness here. And the 25th anniversary Blu-ray of Evil Dead 2. Somewhere, I do have a DVD of Evil Dead 2 signed by Bruce Campbell. Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, more specifically, really changed my life when I saw them when I was 12 or so. And I was obsessed with them. They were like my gateway into horror, and I was huge fan of Bruce Campbell. I went to see him on his book tour when he released his novel Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way. and got my copy of Evil Dead 2 signed by him. Army of Darkness, of course, is the third Evil Dead movie. Classics. Little needs to be said about them. I think I've got 4. I'm going to do 4 more, and then I'll be done. This video is very long already. But it's the day before my birthday, and I'm alone, and I'm trying to kill time and not be sad, alright? So, just cut me some slack. I talked about this movie a minute ago. It's Crimes of Passion by Ken Russell. Like I said, it's starring Kathleen Turner and Anthony Perkins. Kathleen Turner. Ken Russell, he has a very weird sort of career trajectory. He sort of left America, made a bunch of controversial films in Europe, including The Devils, came back to America and made Altered States, which was fairly successful, and then he followed it up with Crimes of Passion. Not very successful, extremely controversial. So Kathleen Turner, of course, became famous from the movie Body Heat. She was a sex symbol of the 80s. My generation probably best remembers her as Serial Mom in the John Waters film Serial Mom, but she is in this, and she's a fashion designer who leads a double life as a sex worker. At night, she's a prostitute, and then she attracts the unwanted attention of 2 men. One, a sexually frustrated private detective hired by her employers to try and dig up dirt on her, and the other is a psychopathic priest played by Anthony Perkins. Of course, Anthony Perkins, Norman Bates from Psycho, who is in possession of what is described here as a murderous sex toy, but you may remember me describing it a few minutes ago as a razor dildo. It's a razor dildo. What a crazy movie. This is from Arrow Films, this release. I mentioned them earlier. They're wonderful. Here's the original cover. You may recognize the cover. Just of Kathleen Turner and her get up there. It was censored in America to get an R rating. This edition contains the R-rated and the uncut versions, which is lovely. Very good movie. Very, 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 very good movie. Highly recommended. Next, we've got Dead and Buried. As it says at the top, the creators of Alien bring a new terror to Earth. Creators of Alien, you say? Well, let me tell you. This was co-written by Dan O'Bannon, who was the primary screenwriter of Alien, and who would go on to write and direct one of my personal favorite movies, Return of the Living Dead. A few years later, this actually has a ton of good talent going on here. It's got Robert Englund in it. Like I said, Dan O'Bannon wrote it. Stan Winston did the effects for it. Stan Winston, very famous effects artist, worked with James Cameron a lot, did the Terminator and Terminator 2 and Aliens. This is just a pretty... it's not like... nothing super to write home about here, but it is, higher than average quality movie because there's just so many talented people with their hands in the cookie jar here. Very good movie. Next, another one from Arrow, The Exterminator. This is sealed because I owned it on VHS and watched it on VHS and enjoyed it so much that I bought the Blu-ray of it from Arrow. And this is a pretty, standard sort of revenge movie, vigilante movie. Vietnam vet comes home to New York. Thugs, kill his Vietnam buddy. And so, of course, is he going to stand for that? No, of course, he's going to get a flamethrower and go set thugs on fire. This is a great movie. They watched it on Best of the Worst, and they didn't like it very much. I think they're wrong. I think this movie fucking rips. Yeah. One more, and it's a classic. It's The Faculty. This is an ex-rental from Blockbuster, people. Previously viewed $9.99 for this DVD. This is a movie that's kind of, I feel like, outside of like horror heads, has been forgotten. And it says right up at the top, from the director of Desperado and From Dusk Till Dawn, and screenplay by the writer of Scream and Scream 2. It's true. This is directed by Robert Rodriguez, famous director, very close friend of Quentin Tarantino. He directed the Mariachi trilogy, El Mariachi, Desperado, and Once Upon a Time in Mexico. He directed, as it said here, From Dusk Till Dawn. He also directed the Spy Kids films. He directed the Sin City movies. He's done a ton of great movies. And this is also written by Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream, and he wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer, and he was the creator of Dawson's Creek, which was a semi-autobiographical story about him growing up. But this is a fucking great movie. Super late 90s vibes abound here. That is about alien slugs that invade this town, and they're like brain parasites, and they take over the teachers of this high school, and then the students have to fight them. A sizzlingly hot young cast featuring Elijah Wood, whose most famous movie, of course, is listed here as Deep Impact. Josh Hartnett, Minneapolis' own, whose most famous movie, of course, is listed is Halloween H2O, or H20, as well as R&B superstar Usher Raymond. Yes, this movie has Elijah Wood, fucking Josh Hartnett, and Usher in it, amongst others. It's got that one girl who has been in that other stuff, whose name I can't remember. It's also got Robert Patrick, who was the T-1000 in Terminator 2, and he was the Mulder replacement in the last 2 seasons of X-Files. It's also got Jon Stewart of The Daily Show, amongst other things. Very good movie. Very, very fun movie. Great late 90s soundtrack as well, if I remember correctly. I don't remember any of the specific songs, but you know the vibe. It's new metal time, right? Alright. I don't know if anybody's going to fucking care about this video or enjoy this at all, but I just did this for fun, just to kill some time. So if you watched it and you enjoyed it, thank you. Let me know. Let me know if you've seen any of these movies. Sure, I mean, I talked about Nightmare on Elm Street. You've seen Nightmare on Elm Street, haven't you? Have you seen Dream Warriors? It's better. It's better. Second one's good, too. Second one might be as good as the first one. Second one's very gay, too. Just saying. Anyways, okay. Thanks for watching.